Howdy, everyone. Welcome to the OuterGrounds Studios podcast. I'm Sheriff Dakin, and here I'm sitting today with Jack, also known as MisterFeelGood on DeviantArt. Hello, Jack. How you
Hello.
doing?
Good. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Let's see. That's good. That's good. And from what I've seen of your work, I know that you're working with a startup company on a new game called Rumours from Elsewhere.
Yeah, that's correct. We've been working on it for being 3 years.
All right, 3 years. And I want to know, is there anything that inspires the style for this game? Because it is a very stylistic game.
Well, thank you. Well, after I graduated 3 years ago, and in animation and VFX, and we kind of wanted. There was a game that I really liked. I don't know if you know. It's called Risk of Rain. It's like a roguelike, and it was very simple, and I liked the design because it was so simple. So I kind of just trying to it was pixelated, and I try and do like a step forward, so like a low poly kind of cut like very simply, and slowly build like a whole world on top of it. And from a small project that it was, it slightly got really really big. It was supposed to be originally like a couple months, and then it's been 3 years. So yeah,
Oh,
a lot of work
really?
is going into it.
Huh. And what was it like? Was it always a kind of startup company with your friends?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what you can do once you graduate was you either find a job or you gotta do something. So we started, we had this simple idea and we started developing. We had like, some base inspiration. So as I told you, Risk of Rain, and then we had like Prince of Persia and other things. We wanted to make like a quick and fun game to play with friends, nothing too hard to do, but plenty for us to learn and also to make something fun. But yeah, I mean, we kept it pretty much. We had a lot of feedback here and there, but we kept it pretty close to our base idea.
Huh. All right. That's pretty good to hear. And it also does. Is it a very lore-based game? Would you say that it has this deep lore, or is it just a simple side scroller?
Well, it's funny you ask me that because I spent a ridiculous amount. Since everybody else is working their butts off, I got like I was doing all the models, and now they're animating and they're coding it, and I have so much time to think about the lore, and it's a bit dangerous if you know what I mean. I got like months and months of like coming out with these crazy little theories. To be honest to you, you can perfectly play the game without knowing nothing about it. But I like hiding around in the art and in every description of the monster and the characters, lots of little things here and there. Is based quite heavily on the lore of the Middle East, but there's quite a lot of also classic fantasy and stuff from like Europe and other things. I try to keep it really simple so people can kind of relate straight away with stuff that you probably already know. But I also trying to give it a little bit of a twist for something that perhaps you go like, oh, I didn't know that, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Like the story. Okay. What is? Sorry. This is one of those examples of something not directly stating its story, but kind of just interweaving it with the environments and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bit of like even when you play like the actual game, I try to have like little stores. When you just place the props around, you can kind of make up what's happening here and there. And I think it kind of adds more like another depth to the game. That even if some people don't care about it, it adds to it. At least to me, that's what I think.
Yeah. It seems like people are really liking it. Oh wait, hold on.
Oh, I hope so, man. One of our biggest weaknesses in the moment, because we spend so much time focusing on how to make the actual game, which you reckon is the biggest difficulty. But we spent like 2 years and a half making the game, and then we realized, oh, wait a second, nobody knows about this game, so I don't really know if we're gonna sell it or something. That was a big concern. So we're a bit like we're all a bit shy. So we're starting. I'm starting with DeviantArt, but then I got a little bit of social media here and there. We're trying to get a little bit of a following, and I think people really respond well to the art because at least they get to dream a bit about it, etc., etc.
Yeah, your artwork that you've been posting, they're kind of like these concept pieces, concept art for the game.
Yeah, exactly. So there's about 40 creatures in the game, right? And there's this 10 bosses and 10 characters. Each one of them has the picture that you already seen, which is like what you see straight away when you find the enemy. And the little description is also like the first thing you unlock after you get the picture. And then in addition, for every creature and everything else, there is another like special drawing, which I don't know if I can put online, but I hope I can put a couple for people to sample. Like for example, the rat has like an in-depth anatomy of the rat done by a necromancer. So he studies how the heart works, how to bring it back to life. Little drawings, memes of rats also. Like a bunch of papers tossed around. And also, there's also like an extra piece of lore, which is the hardest thing to unlock, which is instead general knowledge that could either be like, something even close to our world. Like, for example, the Eden lore of the snake is how to treat a snake wound. And we kind of looked around how to deal with it, and we give some information that could be interesting for the reader. Well, some of the times we put like some riddles or something really cool and it'll be enigmatic.
Oh, that's interesting. I really like how you did that there.
That's what happened when you got too much time on your hands, man.
I suppose that's why
Moms,
it's taken three
moms,
years.
yeah, moms and moms would just be like, "Oh God, what am I gonna do with this?" There's so much stuff that I had to put on the producer, which is also the coder, was a bit worried, like, "Oh, I gotta put all this stuff in the game." You realize? I'm like, well, I think it'll be worth it.
Yeah, what is it like working for that? Because you have like all this time. It doesn't seem like you have a specific date yet, except that it's gonna come out by the end of this year.
Yeah. So we a couple of years ago we did a demo which was kind of like a slice. It was a bit daunting to do because we didn't know where to do it or not, but it was extremely helpful to understand the whole process because there's plenty of information on the internet how to learn how to do everything, but it's such a ginormous task that you wouldn't believe. Like there was like little, like imagine just the cloth of the characters. The damn day I decided to make it 3D. All the cloth is so hard to make it look realistic, jumping around. We just spent like 6 months trying to figure that out, and then we found out the Unreal had like an option. They just updated it that you could just make the cloth in 30 seconds,
Oh my
and
god.
it felt like losing like 20 pounds in like 10 seconds. It was horrible, but and beautiful at the same time. But I gotta tell you, it's probably one of the best experiences of my life because I work close up with my friends, and it's not we don't get paid for doing this. It's just like a passion project. In the
Yeah.
weekend, I worked at the university. I clean up here and there, and I get even more time to think about the lore and that kind of stuff. So it's fun. I really enjoy it. It's a bit of a weird life, but it's pretty cool that we're able to do this in this day and age.
Yeah, it is very weird. It's like you can connect with anybody. For instance, I'm like somewhere in America and you're in the UK and we're just here
Yeah,
sitting having podcast.
exactly. It's crazy, and I just think I feel that even however it goes, I don't know how is it. I mean, I hope it will be successful, but it's been so much fun, and I learned so much that I feel it felt like it's another degree that I did for free. So it's cool. I'm very happy.
That's
And to
good.
gain everything, I also managed to make a game that I would like to play, which is really good.
Oh, okay. Do you ever like play the game on your spare time?
Well, now we're like in the alpha phase, and so I'm testing it with like the first test beta tester, and as you can imagine the bugs that there are because it's the first stage, and it's really fun, but it's also so enraging when you're like running through the boss and you occasionally he falls through the ceiling and you can never see it, and you're like, oh well, I should probably put that as a bug. Or you jump, there's this fun bug where you jump on top of the snake, and the snake tries to turn right and left really fast, and he goes at the speed of light, and the cloth that the character is wearing starts passing out. It creates a black hole that like sucks the whole screen in. It's like, oh man, I don't even know how the physics works in this place. So it's just amazing. It's fun and like angry inducing at the same time.
Oh man. And you started this company with your friends. I want to know because there's always this huge thing what that people say like don't work with your friends, something bad's going to happen. How would you say that? Like would you recommend that people work with
I'm
their
afraid
friends?
I'm afraid you are right wherever you heard that. I originally started with me and two other friends, and one of these other friends we are like a pretty big. He was the old producer and the coder. We had like a pretty rough time, and it's rough, because you're good friends with them. But then when you work with them, it's a completely different experience. And right now, the producer I'm with is also my current girlfriend, and luckily we work very well together. But I cannot hide that, when the time gets tough, we both have to pull out our, how do you say it? Have to pull up what's the little things you have in your, like a shirt. I don't know. Sorry, I'm Italian. Sometimes I muddle the proverbs and stuff. We just have, to pull our pants up and do the work. It's tough, man. If you gotta work with someone, you really gotta trust them 120%. Is tough.
Oh man, it sounds like you're getting very emotional about this.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I got tissues here, because I got issues, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's part of growing up. It's no fault of my old friend for missing out. It was obviously an enormous task looking back. It was like, yeah, let's make a game in 6 months, and then after a couple of years, he's still working on it, just trying to figure out how the cloth works. So it's fine. You just gotta deal with it. But eventually, it pays off. It feels like it's fun, and you feel like you're really doing what you want to do.
Yeah, so it's very passion driven. Like, you don't do it for the money because, like you said, you don't get paid. You just do it
No,
because you
that's
love
all.
doing this.
Yeah, that definitely that. It's really fun, man. I mean, when you see, the character that you modeled and, your friend rigged, and then you help animating them, and you see them with sound effect and 2D effects, and you can see them jumping around, getting smacked, is crazy. You're thinking, you stop there for a second, you're like, man, this is nuts. This is like a childhood dream coming through. So
Hmm.
yeah, now that I say it out loud, it's pretty good. Which
Yeah.
is weird because normally I'm more like, man, this sucks balls. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's like life sucks until you describe it, I suppose. You
Yeah,
don't
I guess.
realize.
I mean, I wouldn't. If my granddad would look what I'm doing now, I don't think he would really understand what the heck am I doing. But it's fun, so it's good.
Yeah, you just have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, maybe the producer that has to code the game has a little less fun than I am having, but she thinks it's interesting. She learned code from scratch, and she's enjoying it, which is it's amazing. The animators were all 2D animators, and they learned 3D. They learned rigging, which was very daunting, and
Mhm.
and it's crazy. It's fun, man. I mean, if you would like to do it, I would recommend it. But at the same time, I would not recommend it unless like you're 100% on board. But it's one of those things.
Yeah, I was actually about to ask about that because I remember that the website you guys have, Rumors from Elsewhere, said that you started this with a bunch of animators. I was
Yeah,
wondering where's the
exactly.
coding stuff coming from?
Oh, okay. When we started, it was me, an animator, and then a coder. And then the coder found it really hard. And then we're trying to go from coder to coder. And, obviously, coder is probably one of the toughest jobs. And eventually, I was so desperate. Well, after like 6 months in, I did pretty much all the models, and they were already being animated. And I told to my girlfriend, well, that's it, I guess. No coder was pretty much crude, and she said, well, I guess I'll learn how to code. And I was like, what? And she did. So it's it's ridiculous impressive. But she put together the game, and I'm just here sitting, making dinner and thinking, oh, all right. She just learned like a whole language like in a couple months, so it's pretty good. It was insane, man. I think if it would not been for like it's like you can prepare for everything, but you never know when stuff like somebody drops out happens, and you just gotta completely reinvent yourself. So I guess we got a mix of lucky and unlucky and everything, which is what's new, It's a bit like everything.
Yeah, it has a very. Does your company have like a very high turnover rate then for coders?
Well, we just got like one girl that does absolutely everything, from she does, and I love that you keep calling it company when there's like four lads, working together. I
Oh
feel
man.
like you give me too much credit for I am, but yeah, I guess um, she's getting quite a lot of attention as well for learning everything herself. So
Hmm.
she's getting job proposal and everything, which is really good on her hand. So if this goes the worst possibility, she still might have like a chance of getting a job anywhere anyway.
Yeah. Maybe I'm giving your company a little too much credit. I should ask, like, how's everything going in the living room?
I am in the living at the moment. So, but
Oh,
yeah, it's going well, thanks. Having like a nice relaxed Sunday. You're okay instead?
let's see. Oh yeah, I'm all right. Um, uh, yeah, I'm having a good day today. Okay, but there is one other thing. I noticed that on the Rumors from Elsewhere YouTube channel that you guys have,
Yeah.
you have this short film called Falling in Love,
Ah.
is it?
Yeah.
Um,
I was afraid you were gonna bring that up.
let's see. Yeah, and there are just several questions that I have about that. It's kind of like
Go on.
one thing's like why, because I've known you for like making video games, but then all of a sudden this award-winning short film comes into play.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that was my dissertation for third year, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
I remember in second year we were like the teacher just brought us in the room and it says, okay, let's pitch. Let's guys just throw ideas that you got in your mind. And I said, how about a guy trying to kill himself over and over? And everybody went quiet, and then they start laughing. And it went well. We got nominated for a BAFTA when it was done, and sadly we didn't win it, but it was really exciting, and it got like a massive success. I didn't realize making a cartoon about suicide would have got that much attention, like in a good way.
Yeah.
But I think. I don't know if you've seen it, but the message, a lot of people that like criticize it were obviously upset, even rightfully if you want, about like, making fun of the suicide. But if you watch it, you see that it's more about like a celebration of life rather than just, mocking, trying to kill himself. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm extremely one thing that really pumped me up in making a video game was we made the game and we made the movie and it was quite successful, pretty much with the same team that we're working at the moment. And then we said, we can make a cartoon, we can probably make a video game. So we just hope that Rumor from Elsewhere is gonna be like a slow burner, like falling in love. So finger crossed, man. And that's all.
Yeah. All right. So,
We did put the main character of the short movie into the game as well. So yeah, you'll be able to see him as a playable character.
oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, he's the necromancer.
Oh, okay. I hope a lot of people who watch that film notice that.
I sure hope so. There's a lot of funny jokes about it. It's pretty sadist as well, of course, but we try and make it a bit funny as well.
Let's see. I have to wonder, is there any mention that he's supposed to be dead there?
Yeah, the necromancer is well, you'll see. Who knows?
I'll see. Okay, it's a surprise. Rumors from Elsewhere. And I have to know, why did you choose that name? It's a very
Oh yeah.
mysterious.
It is pretty mysterious. The producer was pretty worried about it because we wrote rumors, which is spelled different from English and American. So she was saying, "Great, we just come up with the name and already have a problem. People might spell it differently." And I'm like, "It'll be alright." Originally, the game was just called Elsewhere, but like everybody were suggesting it to kind of have like something else. Like most games have like the Elder Scrolls or like something else, and we were thinking, oh, rumors sounds kind of cool, like people whispering, something that could be true or could be false. And we just went along with it. We were worried about everything else but the title. So once we found a title that we liked, we're like, okay, let's start working on the game.
Oh, okay. Did you decide on the title before the game was in production, or was this like later in production?
Well, we were like, we had like a pre-concept art, and the game was called, I think something like Eabani, which was the name of the town. But I felt it didn't have much, like, he sounds all right, but we wanted something that really was a bit like, whoa, what is going on? So we went with like Elsewhere, and then we had the Rumors from Elsewhere. And then we got really worried because we found out that, like, one of the, I don't know if you play the Elder Scroll game, but one of the provinces is called Elsewhere. And we were worried that, like, if Bethesda makes a game called Elsewhere, we might be in big troubles. They're like, hey, what you gonna do? So, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, don't want to stub their toes on copyright.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when, you're working just with like three lads in a living room.
Uh, three lads in a living room. Do you all live in one living room, or are you like spread in your own separate houses?
Well, and at the moment, after, to start with, we all lived together. But now, like, the animator has moved to London, and, some of them might move here and there. But we do live together at the moment, most of us. And it's really fun. It's kind of maybe weird to not to separate your work environment with your, like, living environment. But at the same time, it's like a nice experience because I like my job, so I don't really mind it. I don't know about the others, but I hope they feel the same.
Let's see. I would assume that they have to like it because they're animators. Like animation is so freaking hard that if you don't like it, you
Yeah,
it's
I
just
absolutely agree. I mean, I must be working with the most patient people of the planet. After all this time, if they haven't like beat the crap out of me at this point, they really must believe in what we're doing. So I'm really happy about that.
yeah, the animators. Oh, and I noticed that in the credits you were listed as the director of Falling in Love, and I want to know what exactly does that mean? Like, did you write the story? Because there were also writers listed.
All right. Well, I'm director of both the game and the animation. As in, I come out with the original concept, which was like the whole storyboard and the story, and I also come out with all the concept art. So the characters, the gags, I mean stuff like that. We had people coming out and helping, but like they were kind of working alongside with me and that sort of stuff. For elsewhere, of course, like it's such a big thing that we ultimately, everybody pitches in. But like the main story and the monsters, it's everybody were busy enough, dealing with the whole code and the modeling that like they kind of left me dealing with it, and if they liked it, they were okay with it.
All right. So you kind of you directed the overall look and feel of things, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But we're pretty much, as I said, we're like three people in the living room. If like the guy says, "Hey, I think the skeleton should not do this," and we're like, "All right, yeah, I guess he makes a good point." So it's quite open ended. There's not like a big chain of command where like somebody suggests something and we gotta ask 25 times. It's pretty chill and nice.
Okay, so everyone can kind of be their own little director, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody has quite a big direct, freedom. Like the animators decide how perhaps we tell them what we need, and they animate it how they feel. And for example, the coder is a big fan of point and click games, so the way she sees this action game, it feels different how I would feel it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's quite nice because we get like a complete different view on how she would do things, which perhaps we give almost by default. We do something in a certain way, but she does in a complete different and interesting way.
Yeah, because of her experience with games, I
Yeah,
suppose.
exactly. Yeah,
Huh. And there's one thing. This was supposed to take a few months, but it ended up taking years.
yeah,
So, coming from the person that spent 3 years on what was supposed to be a 3-month project,
yeah.
what would you do to recommend to people on how to increase like workflow in a small company like this?
People, keep it simple. Oh, for God's sake, just don't add 40 enemies, don't add 120 weapons. Just make one guy, then make five enemies, and just make something that you learn how to do it. Oh man, I don't know what was going on in me. I swear to God, Sheriff, I must have been tripping. I don't get it. But it's easy to judge looking back. I would have never expected it. I mean, honestly, actually, thinking maybe 10 seconds, I could have expected it. But looking back, I wanted to have 40 enemies, and we have 40 enemies. So poor fellas.
Oh man, so you basically said like, "Hey, I want 40 enemies in this game." The animators were like, "Do they all have to have unique animations?"
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We were like sitting down, and they're like, "Wait a second. So there's 10 levels, five enemies. So there's about like 10 bosses, 40 enemies. Is that correct?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Wait, I'm sorry.
You know,
This game has 10 different levels?
yeah, 10 levels, and each level is like five enemies. There's like a unique boss per place, and yeah, man, it was a lot of modeling. And because I was learning how to do it, I had to go back on it a couple times and redo some things. And oh man, it was a real experience, if you know what I'm saying. A lot
Yeah.
of rocks have to model. Uh, but I would do it again. It was good fun.
It was good fun. That's good to hear. Is there actually any pressure to get any of the things that you want to get done actually done, or is it just kind of all from you? Like, I want it done, so I'm going to work on it.
Well, it is a bit a mix of both. I mean, we feel the pressure of time ourselves because, obviously we don't want to work another year on this. But I mean, yes, sorry, I said probably the worst thing. We obviously want to fix it. Once it's out, we're gonna fill it until it's like 100% working. But we don't want to spend another 3 years on it. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
We're gonna make sure we deliver a game that is fun and that is not buggy, and that's the most important thing. And we it's kind of like a passion project, and we're all quite happy, regardless whether it sells or not, because we got something that really shows what we can do on a technological standpoint, what kind of narrative we can introduce, and what kind of also look we can show to people. And yeah, I mean, at this point they were so close to the end, they were really kind of dreading and looking forward to it.
Mm.
But yeah, we're pretty happy. What can I say? I am, at least. Maybe get a
Let's see. I mean, you are Mr. Feelgood. I would assume that you're always happy.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
How involved are you in the company? Like, is everyone involved in every other thing since it's like such a small thing? Like the
Well, we,
writers.
we gotta be. I'm afraid that I do all the writing. I do most of the things. We kind of have to break the task into what we can do. I think multitasking is pretty important, especially when you're starting a small business. I mean,
Mm.
to start with, I was saying, yeah, I think I can do just the models and the concept part, and then I was saying the other one can do the other things. But obviously, everybody had to take roles that we're not really comfortable with. For an example, I started the social media part, which is what's kind of dreading, because I don't know, I'm not like very big on social media, so I started posting on DeviantArt, and that went pretty well. So that made me, push me a little bit in posting. But for an example, the coder is also the producer, and she deals with like most of the papers and the important stuff dealing with the bank. So she's a real blessing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
or for an example, the animators, there was also the rigger, and in the other animator instead is like the lighting artist, and they both work with 2D effects and other things. So it's everybody takes roles that perhaps we're not trained like specifically in doing, but we kind of gravitate towards things that like more or less we think we can do, and eventually we learn how to do them because we have to do them. But I think is a real blessing that we're like people with different skills and way of approaching problems, because I think we really compensate like each other's weaknesses in a way. Like I doubt any one of us alone could have done it, but together we will definitely deliver a completed game.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a really romantic way of looking at it. Like all together you make one, but apart from each other.
Yeah, we're terrible.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding, guys. uh,
Oh man, do you
you
think
guys
any
are
of
right. Don't feel it that way.
do you think any of your coworkers will watch this?
I think so. I'll probably link it to them, and I'll probably regretting doing so, but I feel like some of them will enjoy it. Some of them will really enjoy it, and some probably less. But regardless, I'm sure they'll all be happy and have a big laugh. So I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to do this.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Let's see. I looked up in podcasts and I saw that there weren't actually many podcasts where they just invited artists, like independent artists, and
Hmm.
that's what inspired me to do this. Okay. So we're coming up on time, and usually when we come up on time with our guests, we ask things that will help our audience, because our audience will be a lot of beginning people that are still trying to improve their art or start up a company. And I just want to know, what's your advice on running a company, working with teams? Like, what should you do?
All right, that's an excellent question, and it's. I mean, I'm not really a big guy, as you said it, and I said it, But
Mm-hmm.
I do have like a suggestion for anybody listening. To work in a team is really important to, put yourself in other people's shoes. And when you're like letting yourself down, you're letting everybody down. So you really gotta trust everyone else, and you gotta really put your weight into the things you do. And another important thing is, especially in this field, in the things we both do, passion is extremely important. You gotta do stuff that you love doing. Because if you're just doing it, if you're just copying like a big project because you know it's gonna make some money, you're gonna make something that is soulless. And even if you're really good at what you do, it's not gonna turn out, it's not gonna have that little extra thing.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're having fun doing what you're doing, that's what's most important. And actually, oh yeah, one last thing, you gotta do it. I forgot. You gotta have passion, but you gotta do it as well, which is really important because there's loads of people who say they want to make a video game, but to actually sit down and do it, it takes that effort, which lacks a lot of people. Even whatever you gotta do, whether it's like learning how to draw horses or how to juggle with your feet, you just gotta sit down and do it. The simplest thing possible.
Yeah. That's a good lesson for everybody. If you have to learn to juggle with your feet, just do it.
Start with something small. Yeah, definitely not like juggle for 3 years and you still haven't learned how to juggle like a ginormous chainsaw or something.
Oh, yeah. Man. All right. And that's our last question. We're about to end things off. Is there anything you want to like plug in?
No, I would, wish everybody a good evening. Drink plenty of water.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye bye.